Hello, everyone. My name is Nardine Starverov, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm also a resident relationship expert on 105.3 FM. And yesterday on Relationship Wednesday, we talked about the early warning signs of a relationship that is in trouble. So I just wanted to talk about five of those signs as far as the early warning signs. Um, and so the first one is really that conversation can become transactional. What I mean by transactional is that couples may find themselves talking about the task, the day to day task of the family, whether it's bills or kids' activities or schedules. And they find that they're not truly making time to talk about the relationship, to talk about them as a couple. So oftentimes when that's missing, it causes the emotional disconnect in the relationship for each individual to feel a little bit um, disconnected from each other. So the other sign is when curiosity disappears. Again, it's sort of like sometimes you find that there's a buildup with not being able to communicate about what's happening in the relationship. Oftentimes, there's assumptions that's being made. So instead of asking clarifying questions, or instead of being curious about what's happening, why that person may have been a little bit short, assumptions start building up as opposed to curiosity. And so that again creates the disconnect, creates at times frustration and resentment in the relationship. So when we stop asking questions and we stop being curious, it often contributes to the disconnect in the relationship. So the third one is repair attempts failing. What I mean by that is that when couples are attempting to solve a conflict, they find themselves kind of like hitting a wall. And what tends to happen, what I see oftentimes when couples are coming into my office, is that maybe one partner tends to avoid conflict and the other partner tends to address the conflict, but the way in which they are addressing it feels like an attack, maybe to the other partner. So they move away even further from trying to resolve the conflict. So that's warning sign number three. And warning sign number four is that emotional safety declines. So remember the other three I talked about, right? It again, it's sort of like that. All of those components are so essential to every couple feeling emotionally safe in their dynamic, meaning that they are able to have deeper conversations about what's happening in their internal worlds with each other, not just talking about the bills, not just talking about kid activities, but really making time to connect and checking in on each other and checking in on the pulse of the relationship. So when those things are not happening, conversations are not happening, or conflicts are left unresolved, now we have a decline in the emotional safety of the relationship. And the fifth warning sign is that when all of these components are present, meaning less conversations and less curiosity and the failed attempts and less emotional safety, now hope starts dwindling because you find yourself having the same conflicts over and over again. You find yourself not feeling resolved, not feeling emotionally connected. Now you start asking, okay, what needs to change? Can it be changed? So, what something that's really important to remember is that the presence of the warning signs doesn't mean that your relationship is failing. Really, it's just a flag that says, okay, we need to pay attention to what's happening in our dynamic. We need to really sit back and assess our relationship to see the areas in which we need to grow in, heal, or repair. So I hope this helps. And these are some of the things that, as you even think about your own dynamic and your couple relationship, think about maybe an area that you need to grow in. Again, this is Nardine from the Connected Marriage Counseling. Thank you. Bye-bye.